Good evening. My name is John Molinari. I'll be presenting my Culturally Responsive Classroom Management Plan for ECUR 525 for Dr. Daniels. So, my classroom management philosophy really boils down to the golden rule as mentioned in St. Matthew chapter 7. Do unto others whatever you would have them do unto you. It guides how I do everything in the classroom. My students need education and practice in both the academic and life skills, and my classroom will be authentically Christ centered. It'll be educationally stimulating, and it's where students can recognize their God given talents and achieve their highest potential. Students will be expected to treat each other with respect and to help each other to learn, and I will be caring, patient, and help students learn both academically and through the developing good decision making skills. My behavior intervention plan really focuses on conflict, and I define that as whenever a student is not doing what they should be doing at a specific point in time. And I try to target the off task behavior, identify whether it's an attentiveness, unfocused, if they're off task, if they're out of their seat, moving around, disturbing a neighbor, or just not accomplishing whatever is in front of them that they should be working on. I try to use a tiered approach for that. I start with evaluating my own classroom environment. Have I set the proper environment for them? Have I given them the right instructions? Have I challenged them with work? And particularly where you have differentiated skills, do I have additional work for those that tend to finish quicker than those that take a little bit longer to help complete the work? I also like to refocus students. I try to start with some verbal or nonverbal cues. Most of them can pick up on that. I also want to help students evaluate their decision making and what better decisions they could have made in order to not have fallen off task. My tiered approaches, I like to do, as I mentioned, the verbal redirection. Sometimes I'll go and stand next to students until they start working. I might put up a privacy divider between the student and their neighbor in order to cut down on distractions. I might relocate the student to another desk. I may add an extra lap to their recess, or I may, if they do not finish their classwork, I will assign that as additional homework in addition to whatever was regularly scheduled for that evening. Students, my culturally responsive behavioral standards and routines, my students will help me develop the classroom rules. Students have, I think, an inherent understanding of what is right and what is wrong in behavior and how they want to be treated. And most classes will settle on rules similar to the 5 expectations. One goes back to that golden rule: treat others as you want to be treated. Respect other people's personal property and respect other people's personal space. Work without disturbing your neighbor and help your classmates if they ask for help. I established some routines to help provide structure, predictability, and clear expectations. Just for one example, lining up. My expectations for that are: number 1, you quietly line up in number order. Number order is based off the alphabetical order of the last name. Step 2, I ask them to be 1 arm length away from the whiteboard or any wall. Number 3, look at the head in front of you. And number 4, remain silent. I also have routines for morning work, morning announcements, using the restroom, getting ready for a lesson, hand signal, snack time, and end of day. I think in order to really be effective in your culturally responsive behavioral standards and routines, you have to have inputs from the parents. Communication with parents is essential for the best educational environment for the students. It is through getting to know parents and listening to the parents' perspectives of their students that I get to understand better the strengths, weaknesses, academic and or social goals of the student, their family life, their culture, and any significant events or trauma that may be affecting the student at any given point in time during the school year. I use that information to try to tailor the classroom and my teaching methods and examples to best connect with each student to inspire their love for learning. My primary methods of communication with parents are through Parent Orientation Day and the day they drop off school supplies, back to school nights, parent teacher conferences, my weekly newsletter, weekly notes to each parent with an opportunity for them to reply to me, either to anything I may have said to them or anything that might be on their mind. If they happen to be a chaperone during a field trip, excellent opportunity to talk with them. Same thing with classroom parents when they come in and help with the classroom for parties or anything else that we might have going on for the students. Many school events where parents attend, from concerts to poem recitals, plays, sporting events, family fun days, even opportunities for some of the parents to be able to join their students for lunch during the day. We have open houses, emails to and from parents. Those seem to be the most common methods that we easy communication these days. We also rely and utilize the old method of phone calls to or from parents. We have school cultural events and several church and community events, from weekly or daily mass to First Communion, adoration, Nazareth nights. And on certain occasions in where individuals or students have some diagnosed learning or behavioral condition, I will meet with the school administrator and the parent and will discuss a student accommodation plan for that student. Culturally responsive instructional assessment strategies. First and foremost, in order to meet the needs of the student, I must build that positive relationship with each student. It's only through that professionally positive supporting relationship where the student will believe that they can safely share, succeed, and make risks. Will that student be willing to open up and take those risks of sharing their knowledge? An important part of building this relationship is understanding and respecting the personal interests and cultural background of each student. By doing so, I can effectively connect academic material to the personal lives of each student. Student interest in academic subjects does increase when they personally connect to material either from their past and the current life, or perhaps a future application for them. So my classroom rules, as I mentioned earlier, I developed them with input from the students, and we kind of settled on four main sets of rules: how students want to be treated by other students, how students will treat the classroom, how the students would like the teacher to treat them, and then I provide my rules on how I want the students to treat me. So the students get input on the first three. I set the conditions for how they will treat me. And once we agree upon all of the rules, and we generally end up with about 5 per category, we end up signing the rules and posting them in the classroom. So this allows me at any point in time during the year, if there's a disruption in the class, that I can point back to our agreed upon rules. So for example, if we're going back to our golden rule and somebody's not treating someone else the way that they would want to be treated, it's usually either through some type of word, some type of touching, or some type of exclusionary behavior. So I can stop that instruction and remind the students of the class rule. I can ask them if their behavior is meeting that rule. Most of the times they will be honest and say no. And then that we can redirect as to what the agreed upon rule was. On those rare occasions where they think that maybe their behavior was not incorrect, well, that's where I can have a more one-on-one discussion with the student, and perhaps if there was another student involved, with that student as well, so we can get to an understanding of why that behavior was not the appropriate behavior and what better choices could have been made. For my culturally responsive community building, together as a community, we're going to learn in a Christ-centered, and in my case, authentically Catholic and educationally stimulating environment where students recognize, as I said, their God-given gifts and achieve their highest potential. And students will do that by treating each other with respect and helping each other. And I will be caring, patient, and help the students as well, both academically and in developing their life skills. Family involvement is critical in this educational partnership. I will utilize all the methods I listed above under the culturally responsive behavioral standards and routines and communication with parents and guardians. The first 2 to 3 days of the school year are spent establishing the class rules. with the students in going over the classroom procedures. Both include demonstration of proper following of the rules and using students to demonstrate as much as possible. Students will also have the opportunity to practice the procedures. Both returning and new students will be given a familiarization tour of the school layout. Throughout the year, whenever rules or procedures are not being followed, I will treat those as learning opportunities to not only correct the behavior, but model the appropriate behavior, and to also help them understand what a better decision they could have made. If a new student arrives during the year, we do take the time to familiarize that student with what the rules are that the classroom developed at the beginning of the year and give them the opportunity to sign that contract as well. And not just the rules, but we go over the procedures with them. And the students are always very helpful in helping those new students. For culturally responsive community building, students who behave properly, I have a tiered award approach with them. I'll give them verbal reinforcement of my appreciation for their good behavior, particularly if a student had been off task before and has started to make better decisions. I want to make sure that I reinforce that through verbal recognition. On occasion, I will verbally recognize that student in front of their peers, give them the recognition in front of their classmates. I do award what I call a golden ticket, kind of like Willy Wonka's golden ticket, for those that exemplify good behavior. And that golden ticket exempts that holder from lapse during recess. Each week we do a virtue shout out. Not only I, but other students can put students' names in a jar for any time a student has done something virtuous. At the end of the week, I pull out a name from the jar and that student gets a holy card. We also do weekly selection for assisting with recycling. So for the middle school, the second grade does recycling, and it is just amazing how that is a coveted job. And students really want to assist with recycling, and that is awarded to students that have been well behaved. We also do monthly seating group merits. So during the month, groups can earn merits for being on task, for following the rules, for following procedures. And at the end of the month, the seating group that has the highest number of tally marks for their merits, they will get an accompanying award. Now, for students that are disruptive, I also handle those on a tiered approach. All my techniques I try to align with the golden rule to treat the student respectfully and with compassion to help them make better choices that support and align with the class rules. That goes from verbal redirection to standing next to students until they start working, putting up that privacy divider, relocating students, assigning extra laps, having them finish their classwork for homework, pausing instruction if needed to redirect, sending a student on an errand in order to get their mind off of what's happening and hopefully help them calm down and then be able to refocus and reintegrate. Requesting admin support when I'm not successful at that. And I will talk with parents and work with the parents to try to come up with a parent-supported plan that helps improve their students' behavior in the classroom. Thank you for your time.